Speaking of people who probably should think about things differently, Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks don't have a coach right now, or I guess they have an interim coach right now. Joe Prunty, once again, taking over. He took over in Milwaukee a few years back, but he replaces Nate McMillan. Nate McMillan is finally out. We knew it was coming at some point soon. We knew that things were not working with him and Trae, but he's a coach of the Hawks, so we know it's not going to work out with him and Trae. Will, what do you think of the state of affairs in Atlanta? And what do you think they need besides a coaching change, which I'm sure will help to a degree short term? That's what happened with Nate, right? They made the coaching change and they
Right.
rode that wave to the conference finals, and it fell off real quick.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of heard the whispers and the jokes, we all kind of send to each other via text or whatever. But I think now the national conversation is going to really go to like, yo, is Trae Young just a coach killer? Is he just a guy where you take that job and it's just a matter of time before he does or says something that sends you along your way? And I think it's been very interesting over the past year, basically, really since the Hawks made the conference finals, where it feels like more and more of the conversation in Atlanta is about, hey, what's going on with Trae Young? Why can't he figure this out? And his numbers continuously look great, but the vibes are always horrible in Atlanta. Guys don't want to be there. Guys don't feel like they're together. You hear a guy like Kevin Herter go to Sacramento, and he's constantly talking about how much happier he is and how he's playing in a system that better fits him. It's less us watching one guy dribble the ball all the time, and we're playing more like a real basketball team. And I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation around Trae Young and whoever this next coach is going to be. God bless him, because you got to figure out how to make that thing work with Trae Young the way he wants to play basketball. One, and then two, you got to figure out how to make this thing work with Trae Young, just the way he converses with people and how he interacts with teammates. And I think it's probably worse on that end, where a lot of people will point to, well, they're bad because Trae just has the ball all the time. And some of that has kind of been alleviated with DeJounte Murray going there, and he's kind of taking the ball a little bit away from Trae. But the bigger issue there is, where are you going to go with Trae Young as the leader of your team? And as of right now, it doesn't seem like you're going to go very far. Just the way he moves on a daily basis, and I don't know what coach they can bring in there that's going to change that.
Hey, well, the Hawks definitely didn't wait until Black History Month was over to fire the head
Oh,
coach like they did
Man,
2 years ago.
bit the dust.
They
God.
had Lloyd Pierce on all the promos. It's like, man, we celebrating diversity. And as soon as the calendar changed March 1st, it was like, all right, let's get this done.
Deuces, Lord.
Like, let me tell you, Lloyd Pierce was a first-time head coach coming in with Trae Young. They were in lockstep, rookie and rookie, right? So that didn't work. Nate did a great job in the interim role to get them to the conference finals, something that the Hawks have only done twice in Atlanta, I believe. Twice. And so Nate deserved the contract that he got. Like, I heard people say maybe the Hawks should have done a real coaching search after the 2021 postseason. And it's like that would have been disrespectful to Nate, right? Because Nate took a situation where those dudes, led by Trae, had never been to the postseason. And then you not only embarrassed the New York Knicks, who had a really good year under Tom Thibodeau, had home court advantage, and now Trae Young is notorious because he's bowing and trolling at Madison Square Garden, but they beat the number one seed, a good Philadelphia 76ers team that had really a really nice regular season as well. Like, Nate deserved that job, okay? And now Nate, we all knew this was coming at some point. I'm sure no one's feeling bad for Nate because Nate basically said earlier in the year he wasn't sure how much more of this that he could take. So, I mean, I'm not going to keep bringing skin color into everything when it comes to coaching, but that's two black coaches, right? That basically Trae Young was like, nah, I ain't with it. So now what? Now what do you do? And so I don't know. You've had an experienced coach, you had a rookie coach. Who's the next coach that's going to try and get through to Trae? And I just you're gonna have to really arm that dude with all kinds of years on the next contract.
well, Joe Prunty is the one taking over. So if that's the change you
Good
want,
luck,
you're
Joe.
looking for, I
Good
mean,
luck.
I remember when Joe took over in Milwaukee a few years back, they were having problems with Jabari Parker during the playoffs. Like Jabari Parker was kind of like throwing a bit of a mutiny. It was a one-man mutiny, so it wasn't really going to work. It's like Joe's had to deal with that shit before, and I don't know if there's been any mutiny stuff there, but like there's been, I think it's already been reported about where like Trae was like later didn't show up to shoot around one day, and Nate sent him home, and he didn't play. And like there's been a few times where he's been out sick, and wasn't at home with Robitussin is, on a spoon. Let's just say that, he wasn't there for a reason, and it had to do with being on time and showing up and doing all the stuff that like you got to set an example as a star. And it's like basically the intel that comes down on Trae is that he doesn't lead by example, and it creates a corrosive culture. And so, and it's either that's going to turn into he doesn't lead by example and others want to hold him accountable, but they can't hold him accountable because the front office is going to appease and the star is going to win over the coach in those battles. And we've seen, we've seen this Atlanta front office try to smooth things over, but they can only do it so much. And I'm sure Nate could only take it so much before he's like, all right, like enough of the team apologizing for Trae. It's like this is on Trae. Trae has got to uphold his end of the bargain.